Hello. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Tourette syndrome. It's something that I find pretty interesting. It's something that I think our society doesn't know too much about in today's world. It's kind of underrated, and people make fun of it often. So I'm going to start by saying that typically you start noticing signs and symptoms of Tourette syndrome somewhere in early childhood, typically between the ages of 3 to 9. So we're talking about young kids here that have to go, to elementary school, stuff like that. It is fairly uncommon. About 1 in 1,000 people actually have Tourette syndrome, and it's estimated that about 200,000 people actually have like a very complex form of Tourette syndrome, which is pretty interesting. It was something that I didn't know as well before researching a little bit. So Tourette syndrome is characterized by simple and complex chronic tics. So they're two very different things. Tics are chronic, meaning that they don't go away. So simple tics are tics that are going to involve only one muscle group. So this means, this might mean blinking your eyes or making grunting noises, stuff like that. You're only doing one thing. So onto a little bit different. Complex tics are actually going to involve more than one muscle group. So that might be someone who jumps, who might be sniffing and tasting something. And it's something that they can't control and something that they have to do. And a lot of people think that people who have Tourette syndrome do it purposefully, but it's definitely not on purpose. And like I mentioned in the previous screen, tics are a little unavoidable. They are unavoidable, excuse me. It's like an itch that you have to scratch. So, there's no known cure for Tourette syndrome. It is chronic. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's always terrible. People go through little bouts where, they have triggers. One day it might be really bad, one day it might be really good. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. So, just so everyone knows. And then, Tourette's is not contagious, contrary to popular belief. There was a time where lots of people believed that if you touch someone with Tourette's or whatever else, you would get it. It's common with children. You can't get it from hugging or touching anyone. And then finally, people with Tourette syndrome are just like you and me. They might be a little bit different as far as this syndrome or whatever you want to call it that they have, but otherwise they're just like you and me, and they want everyone to like them and everyone to understand who they are.